Hello and welcome back to my Dandelion Diaries. We have another flip through of my planners for the month of January, and this is 1 month in my health planner, the N2 week size common planner. So starting off, this is a Sojourner cover. This is in the olive leather. It shows up very gray on camera. In person, it does have a bit of a greenness to it, but it is very much more gray than green. It also has a suede-y like texture. I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up, but I absolutely adore Sojourner covers. I have probably one on almost all of my planners actually. Anyways, this is the special brown pocket in the designer cut, in case you were curious. And yeah, I did put a little charm on this for fun. It's a little French fries. I got this from Michael's. I felt it was appropriate for my health planner because French fries are something that I crave all the time, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. I went ahead and stuck a pencil board here in the front. This is just from 𝗦𝘃𝗫𝗍. I use this sometimes as a straight edge when I need to make straight lines in this planner. I do have a trifolio cover because I enjoy having this extra piece of leather to help house my pen. It's not necessary, but I like it. And then it does have the natural pockets on the inside. I've been keeping all of my emoji stickers in these little reusable sticker books by Sticky Club. I find this really easy to make them more portable, considering I have a lot of different emojis from the Coffee Monsters Co. So I have like a book of all the happy ones and then a book of all of like the really sad ones. And I can reference these whenever I'm doing my monthly pages, which I'll get to in a little bit. But I still have a couple of ones that I need to de-sticker into the books. I've just been keeping them in the front. I also got this sheet from Sticky Club. It's their life hearts. I don't even know if it's going to show up, but it's like full hearts to no heart video game style. And I want to use these, but I haven't really figured out exactly how I want to use them. That's probably an easier way to look at them. So I've just been keeping them in here as a reminder to, hey, figure out how to use these. But for now, they sit in the front of my book. I will say the clear cover that is from Sterling Ink that I have on this, the week size, standard week size that she has, is still very snug. I have had to heat this up over and over and over and over again, and it is still not fit correctly. It still pulls. It's very frustrating. I haven't taken it off completely yet because I have hope that maybe the next time I heat it up, it's going to work. But I will say it has been a little iffy on if I'm going to leave the clear cover on this. I may have to order from somewhere else or use something else. I don't know, but the clear cover is definitely still really snug, even though I've heated it up, whichever, too many times. For the Year at a Glance pages in this book, I have been using this to track my pain in a way. So I have down days, any kind of stomach or digestive issues, and then headaches. I would say in January, it was a pretty chill month. I'm really happy to see that I only had 2 days that I was really down, and really, really happy to see that I only had 3 days with headaches, because if you're a chronic headache sufferer, you probably understand what it's like to just constantly have a headache every day, and it will never go away, and it is just, you have to work through them, and it is a pain in the literal patookie. So having only 3 in 1 month makes me very happy to see that. Like really, really happy to see that. We'll see how the other months go, but I'm really happy with my progress so far in January. For the next pages, the link pages, I talked about this in my setup. I have done a measurements, so like my body measurements at the beginning of the year, and then at the end of the year, I'll do it again. I like how this turned out with the kind of, I don't know, simplicity of it. And I also like how it's going from, you know, cozy to boss woman over here. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but I still like the look of this, and I'm really happy with this setup so far. I didn't do anything for the goals pages, but again, like most of the Sterling Ink planners, I'm really happy this is in the front. It makes this very easy to reference when I'm planning out like weekly goals or anything like that, or monthly goals. I can just come back and reference this over and over again, and having it all in one spot has been incredibly, incredibly helpful. For the quarterly pages, I have been using this as a place of tracking. So on this side, I have the top priorities for the quarter at the top. This basically is something I pulled directly from my goal pages. And then for each month, I'm deciding to do like a little synopsis. And that synopsis is essentially, how did my month go based on my goals? So my goals being like weightlifting, running, meditation, anything revolving health goes here. And I have to say that January, I did well with a lot of things, but I still have room to work on, and that's what I wrote about. So this is a direct correlation of this page. So I'm going to zoom you in to do this because this is a little bit tiny to see on camera. So for the quarterly pages, I have been using this as a habit tracker of sorts to basically track my workouts, whether it's walking or other workouts, running or lifting weights. So for the month of January, I basically did a whole month of just walking and other workouts. And I'm totally okay with that because it's the beginning of the year. I'm starting things off slow. And also because the gyms are just insane in January, and it just wasn't worth that stress for me to try to force myself to go back. So starting off slow by just walking almost every day was really more my speed to begin the year with. I did have a week here where it rained every single day outside, so I couldn't walk. We have a walking trail on our property, and it was just incredibly muddy and impossible to walk that time, so I just took a week off, which is fine. And then on the bottom of this section, I have been tracking my personal best. So for weightlifting, I want to beat my personal best and reach a certain weight goal for each of these 3 exercises. So back squat, the best or the most that I can back squat at this time is 185 pounds. Same with deadlift is 155 pounds, and bench pressing is 95 pounds. So having this little space here of this kind of record is going to be interesting to me to see if next month I beat any of those, or in March I beat any of those, or if I reach my total goal of reaching the top weight, I will have it written down and maybe I'll highlight it when that happens. But I like having this little snapshot here too. I've been keeping this little piece of acetate from a Hobonichi order in place of a pencil board here, just because I like to be able to see it and it's clear. I find that the clear is very helpful for the tracker pages versus having something that's a bit more solid. Moving on into the monthly pages, I have loved this so much. Oh my gosh. Okay, so as I've talked about in some of my other planners, monthly pages are really a struggle for me to use because planning events and appointments and birthdays and stuff is harder for me to put on paper. I'm usually used to doing that in my phone. And so for the monthly sections, it's just, what do I do? What do I do? So for the monthly pages, I decided I'm going to make this kind of like a mood tracker in a way. And I'm using the Coffee Monsters Co. emoji stickers because I have quite a bit of them. And this has been so fun to do and to see. You could easily do this with any kind of sticker you want. Think of it like a sticker a day kind of situation. But I love seeing my emotions for a whole month on one page. I think it's so exciting. Anyways, here is December. I did all the way through, and then I also was tracking when I was taking my 24-hour fasts on these days because I like to do 24-hour fasts a month. And then at the bottom, I was doing my weight by week. So here is January. I didn't end up doing my fast on this day and instead did it on this day. So I just crossed it out and rewrote it here. And I think that's perfectly fine with me. I think in the future, I do want to try to make that a bit more of a habit not to cross it out, but we shall see. I also added in these tiny little numbers on the corner of each day, which helps me see which day of my cycle I am on. This is just personal information for me that I find really useful. As for the decorations on top of the emoji stickers, I mainly have been using the washi tape shop's floral tapes. I absolutely adore those. And then the other tapes are from London Gifties. This is from my shop. This is part of my Bold monthly header pack. And yeah, I love the simplicity of this, and I love how it's functionally working for me to see how my mood has gone throughout the month. And I do like to see that, like, okay, this week was really cold, and then I was not in the best mood, it looks like it, and then I ate a lot of food, and then I got really sore, and then I had a headache. So this probably was not a very good week for me. But if you look at the week before that, it was really, really great until the weekend, probably when it started freezing over. So to me, this means Okay, the weather's probably affecting my mood. It's some kind of way right there. That's definitely got to be what's happening. Overall, though, I definitely am going to continue to do the mood by month situation this is, because I really, really am enjoying how this is turning out. Now let's move on into the weekly section. So this is probably the bread and butter of my health planner, and I'm going to try to do my best to explain this as I go, because this layout has worked for me for over a year now and I have loved it. So I want to try to explain it as best I can. So on the main side here with the actual days of the week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I have broken this down into 3 sections. So I have a section here where I do my exercise log, or what exercise I did that day. So walking has been my main exercise in January. So every single one of these days has either how long I walk or where I walked or the distance I walked, and I put that on that side. The next little column is basically how long I've meditated. So I try to log the time that I meditate because I want to see if I'm going from a short amount of time to a long amount of time, or vice versa, or if it's all short, all long, whatever. Having that kind of time reference for me helps me see where I need to work on with my meditation practice, whether I need to increase my time, decrease my time, or just keep where I'm at. Then on the main section of this, like the bulk of it, I guess, this is where I write down my meals. So I have found that logging what I'm eating has helped a lot with, 1, how much junk I eat, 2, how often I'm eating out, and 3, seeing where I need to increase my vegetable or fruit intake, because those are 2 things that I feel like are always needing work, not just for me personally, but for like humanity. I feel like fruits and vegetables need to be increased no matter what we're doing, and having a log of my meals shows me, okay, I need more fruit, I need more veggies, whatever. So this is where I have been logging that. I will say that having this doesn't necessarily help me all the time. I do have times where I write things down and I'm like, it's like a psychological battle in a way. But I think that's something to do more with me and my eating habits and all that kind of stuff. But it's definitely helpful to see in the larger scheme of things, even though some days it does hurt me a little bit to write what I wrote down. Moving on to the right side of the page, or the usual blank page, I have broken this down into multiple sections. So at the top, I have been putting down my fasting time. This is something that I'm just interested to see, like when I start eating, when I stop eating. It also helps me see if I'm following any kind of intermittent fasting or any kind of fasting goals for myself. So having this here is really helpful. This is very tedious to fill out, I will say that. But I'm also giving myself grace in the sense of it doesn't have to be perfect or exact. And I think that's helped me a lot in completing this chart every week. Then for the other section of this, I have done meal ideas. So I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I struggle to come up with different things to cook every day. And that is also part of the battle of, if I don't know what to cook, then we automatically default to, okay, let's go eat somewhere else or buy food at like a restaurant or fast food or whatever. So having a section with meal ideas has been really, really helpful to reference this. Like, let's say I'm going in here to log that I had my coffee in the morning, and then I see, okay, we could have black-eyed peas, sesame chicken, protein oatmeal, or tuna patties, because that's the stuff that I have ingredients for, and I can select one of those items and make it for the week or the day or whatever it is. This has been incredibly helpful. I will say there are other weeks that I've done that I've included just ingredients, and that has also been really helpful, but I'll get to that in a second. The next section that I've created for myself is basically a how am I feeling. So this is more towards mental health. So we've already covered like exercise, diet. Now let's get onto the mental health part of this that I'm including in my week. And this is how am I feeling. So I have a section where I'm writing down overall how I'm feeling, and then I also have a happy moment and a low moment, and then why. I'm really trying to answer the why. I think the why is really beneficial in helping me grow or see where I need to improve or what I need to work on for those sections. So like happy moments, I read 2 books, and why? Because I took the time for myself to slow down for me, which is really beautiful for me to look back on. Like, I took time for me, and that is so amazing, because with the hustle and bustle of everything going on all the time, taking time for yourself is something that I'm really trying to push for. And then I also had a low moment, and apparently this week I had to clean up my dog's poop for 3 days in a row because she was having diarrhea, and it's because she was sick. So that was not really fun, and it's definitely a low moment, but I'm glad to see that it wasn't about me, that it was something in my environment that I needed to work on. And in case you're wondering, we changed Athena's diet and she's doing excellent now, and we have not had to clean up poop again. But that is something that I definitely am glad I've looked back on now and know that it was an environmental change I had to make and not just a mental change. Then for the last section of this, I have a section for my weekly routine, or you could just call it a routine in general. This is kind of like habit tracking, but it's more of to see, okay, on what days am I doing this? Some days, yes, I want to do it every day, but more of so of like, okay, am I doing laundry 4 times a week, once a week, 3 times a week, whatever. Same with vacuuming. And then the rest of it's probably things I should be doing every day. Like meditation, I did it the first 3 days and then I fell off. But reading, I read every single day. Walking, I walked all the days except for one. And then same with vegetarian, I was only vegetarian one day. And then the rest of the days I ate meat. Lifting didn't happen once, probably because the gyms, like I said, were insane. But having this in a little snapshot, again, helps me see where I need to work on and also see what I'm staying consistent with. So having all of this in a weekly format every single week has been really fun to do and also keep track of. It's nice to see my stats in a way of how I'm doing. And yeah, I've just really enjoyed it. All of the deco, by the way, is from Sticky Club. Again, I'm trying to use up a lot of my stash this year. I'm trying to buy less and just keep with what I have and use it up because it's beautiful and I need to enjoy it before it goes bad in a way, but also because I'm trying to spend less on stationery. Anyways, this week I changed it up a little bit and I did a Monday through Friday section here where I wrote down what I was planning to make on each day of the week. This worked for 2 days and then I fell off because it was like, okay, I just want to pick something that I want to eat. And yeah, so I think we made spaghetti instead of the ramen, which, I mean, it's still pasta. And then we made baked potatoes instead of the Brussels sprouts, which is fine. So I still had those things, and that's why when I look at things like this, I can just carry it over into the next week. So then this week I wrote down the same things, but I dropped the Monday through Sunday thing and just left it back into a list, which worked much better. And as you can see, I checked off more things of what we were eating. And then this is the current week we're on. And this is where I was saying that I changed from doing just like meal ideas to also ingredients. So we have a bunch of poblano peppers that I need to make my way through. And so having that here on this list helps me when I reference this to come to like, what am I going to make today? I can see, okay, I have a bunch of poblanos. Maybe I should make spicy poblanos or chile rellenos or something with poblano peppers. So that way I use them up before they go bad in the fridge. And then probably at the end of the week, if I still haven't used them, I will chop them up and I'll just put them in the freezer, and then we will add them to something later so they don't go bad and they aren't wasted. The next section I have in this book is all about trackers. So I used a lot of the notes pages for trackers, and this is my January one. So let me turn it around for you. So this is my sleep, mood, and stress. This is a tracking system that I have done for 2 years now. I really enjoy having this in like a snapshot view because, I don't know, it's really interesting information for me to see and to look back on. So I have my sleep, mood, and stress, my menstrual cycle, date nights, any high vegetable intake days, any notes, and then a long list of different things that I'm tracking that's either food or exercise or health related in some kind of way. I change this all the time, so it just varies. But looking at this data in a monthly view like this helps me correlate of what's going on from up here to down here. So here I was sleeping a lot towards the end of the month and I was reading a lot less. So maybe I was staying up late reading is my guess. And that's why I was sleeping less up here. So there's that. But I also was having a lot of high vegetable intake days these days. So maybe I was just getting more sleep because my body was getting the nutrients it needed. Maybe there's that. You never know. It's all variant, right? Like, and there's no way for me to actually know unless I were to do a control experiment, like in a very scientist type of way. But this is more like just information for me that I find very interesting, and I love seeing all of it together. I have talked about how I like to keep my habit trackers like this, at least on this scale, very simple. So all I used here is a black pen, and that is all. I went ahead and went back in and added in some washi just for some fun deco, but overall, I like to keep this very, very simple. The next section in this book is the workout log that I made, and as you can see, I didn't do any workouts in January, except for walks, which I ended up putting in my running log section. But I wanted to make a note for myself that as much as I wanted to go to the gym and do lifting workouts, it was just way too many people, way too crazy there, and I would rather take things slower. So I wrote that down for myself to re-reference later on when I look back at this, so it's not just ultimately depressing that I have 2 blank pages where I'm supposed to have a bunch of workouts. So there's that. And then for the running log, this is where I wrote down all the days that I walked and just wrote walk next to it. So if I were to do a run, I hope to do a date, time, mileage, pace, and notes, which hopefully will get started in February, depending on the weather. Next, I have the show and movie log section in this book. I basically write down the date, what I watched, and then how many episodes I watched if it was a TV show. I will say in January, I did end up watching a lot towards the end of the month, and I think it's because I just had it going on in the background, like background noise. I honestly don't remember a lot about any of these shows that I watched, except for Warrior Nun on Netflix and Sandman. I think those are the 2 that stuck with me the most. It's very interesting. The Sandman is like about dreams and nightmares, which is kind of cool. And then the Warrior Nun is just so controversial to watch in a way. I don't know. It was just a really interesting show to watch. Anyways, they're both on Netflix if you want to watch those. And then the last section I have in here is my recipe section. So as I've talked about for my goals, I want to do one cultural food, cultural dish a quarter or month, depending on if I have time. So I went ahead and did my recipe for the Colombian dish that we made, which was sudado, otherwise known as the sweaty is what we called it. And it's basically like a beef stew in a way, because we made it with beef instead of chicken, but it is absolutely delicious and so comforting. We made it when it was freezing outside, and it was just absolutely amazing. So I definitely wrote down the recipe for that. And then we also made arroz con leche, which is like a sweet rice dish that my boyfriend's mom has made for years. So we got the recipe from her, and I wanted to write that one down as well. But these are the only 2 recipes that I did for January. Overall, I have really been enjoying using this health planner. I think it's a really fun space for me to see like the stats about my life, and maybe I'm just kind of nerdy in that way that I like to see all of my stats, but having this space and this size and this planner has just been so wonderful. I love this. I do think I'm going to try to do something about the clear cover situation, considering it's still being really silly and dumb, but we'll see what I do with that. But overall, like I said, I'm really happy with this. If you have any questions about anything I used in this planner, or how I've set it up, or just any questions in general about this planner and how I'm using it for health, please let me know down in the comments. I will do my best to answer that. And if you're interested in any of the other planner flip throughs I have done for January, I will have a playlist in the description of all the different planners if you want to watch them all together. I'm trying something new this month where I'm doing individual planner videos versus doing all of the planners in one video, just so I can get into like more of the nitty-gritty. So I would also love your feedback on that. Anyways, I want to thank you so much for joining me here today, for spending some time with me and my health planner. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.